So you say that you are an aeronautical engineering student in Imperial, and universities is one thing on paper, but from what I hear, they are very different from when you actually go to them. Would you say that Imperial is different to what it would be, and any difficulties or things that surprised you when you joined it?
A lot, actually, yeah. So, the image somebody has, at least for me, the image I had of a university was quite different from what it happened to be. And it's just one of those things where, you only realize this once you're part of it. Like from the outside, it's something, from the inside, it's something. I mean, sure, everybody says, oh, yeah, you got to work hard, but you don't know what it means to work hard and why it's difficult to work, not difficult, but why it's why it's more difficult to work hard. And yeah, I mean, sure, there are things that, um, so first thing was people, basically. Like when I came to Imperial, I was expecting everybody to be, you know, very passionate about what they're doing because this is a top 10 university. But I was expecting everybody to be very passionate in what they want to do and, just everybody doing some crazy stuff. And they are, by the way. A lot of people are doing a lot of crazy stuff and it's incredible, very, very incredible. But not everybody's like that. And obviously, to most people, that's like, yeah, obviously, not everybody's going to be like that. But that wasn't the image I had. Um, Another thing would be, there's just the kind of things we are learning and, the kind of people that are there. So, for example, I actually know a lot of people who are doing a certain subject because it's in demand in the industry, but not because they actually want to do it. So, for example, earlier you asked me a question, was there a time where you almost quit, but then you didn't? And the response was, there were times for sure, but then you kind of look back and ask yourself why you started it in the first place. But you can't do that if you're in a place you don't want to be. And you're just there because society pressured you or your family's pressured you or whatever. You don't want to be there. So when you call quit, a lot of the times you do quit. And that's the difference. So I know a lot of people who are there because of demand. I also know a lot of, so statistically, in my degree, which is aeronautical engineering, 40% of the people go into finance. And it's incredible how these people are better at finance than finance people, from what I've heard. Like companies want aero graduates from Imperial to do finance than someone who's done finance. And that makes me wonder, firstly, why are these people doing this? That's a different story. But secondly, you're like, how are they doing this? If we've not been taught finance, how are these people doing finance? And I come to realize, I realized this because once I told my dad, like 2, 3 months ago, I told him, this happens. He's like, wait, but don't they need a degree? And I said, no, I think what's happening now is that more than the content you learn, it's the mindset that you obtain at a place like Imperial or at a place like university, basically, because you're, it's sometimes you may not even know the content. You may actually get a very good mark in your paper, but you may not actually know it. It's a similar story to, what I was talking about when I was in India. It's not to that extreme, obviously, but it still happens. Like, they will give us 7 lab reports to do in 2 or 3 weeks or something like that. Like, this was an intense period. I think February it was just intense for me personally because not only was I doing this, I was doing some projects with Autodesk. I was doing some stuff with other societies as well. And this whole thing just kind of collapsed on me. And I was just like, what am I supposed to be doing right now? Um, but, like I said, I think more than the content itself, like more than aeronautical engineering as such, it's the mindset. And I think that is the driving force of why I'm still here. Because I feel like if people survive Imperial, they can survive the world. But there's a difference between surviving and living. And I want to live through Imperial so that I can live in this world. Yeah.
So yeah, so you say the mindset is probably one of the surprises that you gain from university rather than the knowledge itself.
Yes, in my opinion. And I think that's far more valuable because if you have a good mindset, you can basically learn anything. It's the mindset that, okay, I don't know how to do this, let's try and do it, or let's learn how to do it, etc. For example, it's a very common, this is why I emphasize on mindset so much. Like, you might have heard so many examples of lottery winners who went broke in like almost no time. As soon as they won the lottery, they went broke because they didn't know how to deal with the money. The idea behind that is that if you're, if you have a broke mindset and you have money, you're going to be broke. If that makes sense.
So you're saying lottery winners need re-education, need to go to college?
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not talking about that education. I'm talking about, it's to do with, like, even let's take my story, for example, the fact that when I wrote the email and, ended up, and now I'm at Imperial, it's to do with the mindset, It's if I just kept telling, like, a lot of people, like, especially in our generation, are so negative. Like, I've met so many negative people, and unfortunately, the trend I'm seeing is, let's be negative. And so, like, if in your head, all you're saying is, oh, I can't do this, what good is this going to do, da-da-da-da. So you're not even going to bother trying, But if you're like, okay, well, it doesn't matter whether something comes out of it or not, let's just try doing it anyway, because what if actually something happens? So yeah, I think it's the mindset that which is way more valuable.
So well, now we're topic on mindset. You actually do talks and seminars on, on mindset, on thought process, and on anti-fragility. So could you explain what the last one means?
Anti-fragile. So it's quite an interesting topic. So I was with a friend, and this was in April or May, something like that, because we were preparing for exams and we had been studying every single day together. And like, if you spend a lot of time with me, you basically get to understand my thought processes, because I speak my thoughts out loud in a way that, because I want to make sure everybody, like, if somebody's hearing it, like, they can understand it. And so, like, this guy had spent from December all the way till, May, June, July with me, till June. And so he got quite used to, like, seeing how, and he spotted this trend of me looking at all the negatives and trying my best to bring the positives out of it and learn from them. It's the same arrow theorem. And so one day he just looks at me and he's like, you know what? You're anti-fragile. I was like, what does that even mean? He's like, well, fragile would be if you impact it, it's going to break. But anti-fragile is if you impact something, it becomes stronger. So you're a diamond, basically, right? And so that mindset, and like now you've associated a word with this mindset, and now you're consciously thinking about it all day, all night, every single day. And so now you're consciously now you're able to even, look at something incredibly negative and still try to make some good out of it. And that's, I think, incredible, because problems and failures in life are inevitable. And we all go through problems in life. So what if we could take these problems and put them in such a way that we benefit from them? And therefore, the worse the problem is, the better you get. Wouldn't that be crazy?
Yeah. So really like a diamond.
Yeah.
So how would you say you went from, studying at Imperial and, doing air engineering to giving seminars and talks on mindset? Like, how does that switch happen?
So, even as a kid, I was told I think too much, and too much is usually a negative term, right? You think too much, stop thinking too much. And, there were times where people just went like, stop it. But I was like, no, there's something about this thinking or whatever. That's like, I know I'm different, but I don't know how I'm different, So I think these thought processes and etc., because I've seen a lot of people who now look at me and say, oh, he got lucky. But it was that I wanted to show people that, you really can do it. Like, if you stop making excuses and you really just want to do it, just do it. Just start doing it. Like, I didn't know as a kid that I'd be making music today. I always wanted to. But then, like, there was always this fear. I was like, whoa. Because I remember one day I was just sitting at home and I put on Me, Myself, and I by G-Eazy, his instrumental, and I tried rapping and I recorded it on my phone. And I was like, wow, I sound terrible, man. But then I just kept going, and turns out people started liking my music and I started making more music. So it's just, it's me trying to show people that I did it because I thought and I implemented, instead of just sitting around waiting for stuff to happen to me. You know, when people are like, oh, I never get an opportunity or whatever. Well, my argument is you can create opportunities. The email, was that an opportunity? Not really. Would you say that was an opportunity that came my way? The newspaper never said anything about internships or whatever, you know? So that's what I'm talking about. So it's you create the opportunity if you want. If you really want something, create the opportunity yourself. Like, just do something about it. And so when I give talks, so I went back to India. I gave talks in a few schools, and it was kind of scary because like I was talking about the education system in front of these teachers. But to my surprise, like I tried my best not to make it sound like I'm ranting, but instead try to make it look like I am analyzing and trying to identify the solutions of problems like this. To my surprise, actually, they were listening really nicely. And so, you know, one of the advisors of the school, you know, came up to me, and then we spoke a bit about how we can implement new things in their school or whatever, so that the kids who graduate from the school are, you know, better, not better, but like are more capable in, you know, dealing with stuff in life. And so I think so, and you know, like I said earlier, like I've always wanted to be a celebrity, but I wanted to do it in a way that I'm able to have an impact on people. And so me giving these talks is basically like, you know how kids these days, I mean, this probably happens with you as well, it happens to everybody. We're kids, but we're expected to listen to adults. But then we deeply feel that these adults have no idea what we're going through. And so there's a huge bridge between the kid or the parent, the kid and the parent, or the kid and society in general, right? Because sometimes your thinking is too old-fashioned. It doesn't work in this new world. Like, this world is changing on a daily basis, on an hourly basis for that matter. So what I tend to do is I speak to kids who I'm only 2 or 3 years older than. And then when they look at this and they say, oh, wow, I mean, if he was able to do it, so can we. And, you know, now, like, ever since I've been giving these talks, I receive a lot of messages from people, and they're like, oh, you know, I want to do this, but I have no idea how to start. How do I do this or whatever? And it just feels really nice that I'm able to help these people. And therefore, like I said, I wanted to do the same thing with music. I actually started doing this with music first, and then the talks came in. Just, I don't know how it just happened. It was someone just told me, oh, I know you give a lot of lessons in, you know, so I teach Autodesk Fusion 360 in universities and stuff. But someone from India was like, oh, can you just come and give a talk here? I was like, sure. Ended up speaking about mindset. That went on my Instagram. Another school called me because of that Instagram. And then like now, you know, just stuff's happening. And then like a few days ago, I just went and gave a talk because, you know, I'd been giving other talks. So when people see, oh, this guy's giving more talks, and he has been giving talks, and the things he's saying aren't too bad, I mean, I try to make them as valuable as possible. I think it just shoots off from there, you know? And that's why, like, even if we talk about business or entrepreneurial stuff, I'm actually starting a new Instagram account where all I'll be doing is talking about topics like this.
So what's your at of the new Instagram account, as you know, as a shameless plug on this podcast?
You mean as a username? It's still not there yet. Like, it doesn't exist yet, but it will be something. Yeah, because like I want that, you know, as a kickoff, I want it to be something that people have already seen me do and then take it to the next level. So for example, these talks, etc. I'll just be kind of introducing myself, and, you know, my logo and stuff will be there. The more important thing is, you know how my artist name is TEX, which is TEX.
Oh yeah.
It's actually not TEX, it's TEX, which means it's actually a short form for something. And I still don't like it's one of those things that's open to suggestions. Like, it's the full form doesn't exist yet. But for now, TEX means the experience. And therefore, the username could potentially be called the experience. I mean, TEX it's designed in such a way that it's a flexible term. It can mean different things in different scenarios. And in this case, and because I think life is all about experiences, TEX currently means the experience.
So, well, you heard it here first on the Clockmasters podcast. The
Yes, you
experience coming to Instagram near you. So, well, Tex, you know, it's been lovely speaking to you. It's been amazing, you know, knowing your insight on life and knowing your how you deal with success, how you deal with failure, and particularly your mindset of anti-fragility, and how through failure you get stronger like a diamond. So give your friend a pat on the back, because I feel like that's quite inspiring what he said. Out of
Absolutely.
Yeah. So again, thank you so much for coming to this podcast. It's been lovely speaking to you, and I hope we have you soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right.